Before I get into our pre-prescribed questions, what is it that made you want to speak on this topic today? I was really excited personally to see that you wanted to talk about this,
Yeah,
and I'm excited to hear your recommendations for influencing.
absolutely. I mean, I think that this is, well, first of all, just who the heck am I? I have been in customer success for an embarrassing number of years, getting close to the 2 decade mark. Yes, it was still customer success back then. They didn't necessarily call it that, but I was building customer journeys and doing all that good stuff. About I was in customer success leadership for over 10 years, maybe 15. About 4 years ago, I decided to go out on my own and create some coaching and training for CS leaders because at that time, there really wasn't much out there. And I remember when I got into my first CS leadership role, and I was like, this is not at all the same as what I've been doing. And I just remember just messing up over and over and over. And it's like, it would have really been helpful if someone had said, like, oh, this is how you do this. This is what we're looking for. So that was what I sort of originally started out creating. Brain science, general influence, even hypnosis, NLP, all these things fascinate me. Basically, I was a weird kid and I wanted to understand, yeah, like I wanted to understand other people so I could try and be more normal. Plus, I was like, half the things I'm doing don't make sense. Why the hell did I just do that? So I've been into psychology my whole life. This to adopt our product, they're probably not going to because nothing against you. It's just not very interesting. And they have a ton of other stuff on their plate that is probably more important to them personally and professionally. And all the books, do the traditional customer journey and the onboarding and the traditional calls. But if you have certain places where your customers are getting stuck, where they're not doing the things you ask them to, it can be really helpful to be able to look at that and actually understand the psychology. It's like, well, what's in it for them? And really understanding what's beneath that, generally fear for most of us, like, am I going to get fired? This is something different. Whatever I have done thus far has not gotten me fired. I don't care if you're asking me to do my name in purple instead of blue. Sounds risky. Don't love it. So it's how do we get around that? We have to look at what actually influences people versus what would just make sense, because what makes sense often doesn't work very well. So that's why. That's why I like to talk about this stuff. I think it makes us so much more effective.
I love that. I really appreciate that perspective. I've always focused on WIFI, what's in it for you, when talking to
Yeah.
customer
Yeah.
audiences. I love that. And then also completely agree with like a fear of change. And so I'm always thinking like, how do I make it easy and how do I make it measurable and how do I make the person that I'm asking to do something to spend their time in our tool look like a hero in their organization against their goals? Which gets me to, I'm going to flip a few of the questions around if that's okay. But
Do
one of
it.
them is many CS professionals, myself included, are ICs who must
Mhm.
influence decisions without direct authority. So, what are some of those the authentic ways that people can build influence internally and externally and pulling from that psychology angle that you've spoken to?
100%. I love that. And I have always said to everyone that I work with, you can lead from wherever you are. You start showing up as a leader, as someone who moves the business forward, not just your career, not just your department, but the whole business. Your title's going to catch up pretty quickly. Really, a meeting with C-suite, cross-functional, anyone else, what do they care about? What are their KPIs? Right? Like if I go in and want to talk to sales and get them to stop signing non-ICP clients, it's not that they're jerks if they know that's going to be like oh yeah, sure, or a little bit of a conflict because it's like, well, it is my job to bring in money. It's your job to make it work for them, right? So if I'm asking them to like not meet their KPIs, that's going to be a problem. Versus if I go into that conversation that I think might help it make it just so much easier to close clients, like close them a lot faster. Would you be interested in talking about that? Do you think they're going to be interested in talking about that?
Of
Now,
course, that's why sales loves to talk to me.
right, right, exactly. And I'm still going to give them the same information, which is just like, here's some, here's what our ideal clients love. Here's how they are saying that it's changed things for them. These were their original complaints. Like most of the time, marketing does not have as much deep insights as you do. I like to tell my CS people to run an experiment where they have, sales work with a few phrases that they've pulled that they hear over and over and have them start peppering it into their conversation with ideal customers and see if the close time changes, see if it's faster, mini experiments. But this is the kind of way where you can get CS to be more influential by saying, like, look, we don't just affect revenue in our department. We can help inform all departments. And because the people you're trying to get to buy from you, they're the same people we talk to every day. We have tons of insights that you're not leveraging, but you
Yeah, like
have
a
to show them.
strategy architect, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just have to show them what's in it for them in a way that feels easy. Just like use this phrase. It's like instant resonance. It's amazing. So yeah, so that's what I think. It's really just what do they care about? Whether you're talking to a customer, a cross-functional partner, even the C-suite, how can I get this person promoted or a raise? Or like, if it's the C-suite, like how can they make the board happy? How do I make this person look awesome? Because if you come to me with well, not me, because I own my own business, but if you came to me when I was a CS leader and been like, this is amazing for your business, I'd be like, all right, I'll check it out, versus if you came to me with like, this is probably going to get you promoted. Like if you want to be CRO, if you want to be CCO, like, do you want that?
Yeah. Are you trying to make
Yeah.
a sale or are you trying to solve a problem for someone?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that can apply
So
to anyone that you're talking to. Like, who is this for and how will
yeah,
it end, right?
yeah. And most of us, the information you're getting from your company, except for us and maybe like support, the company is focused on the company. So they're only thinking about the company, they're thinking about the product. I think of it as like, they're kind of like, or they're kind of like airplane manufacturers. I want those people to be obsessed with the airplane. It's a problem if they're not. But if we're going to be, the pilots to make sure we get people from here to there and not the wrong destination, we have to be focused on where they want to go. But if you're asking your company for direction in how to do that, they're just going to be like, well, look at all these instruments. They're amazing. It's like, yeah, but the people out there, they don't care. So really, it's who am I talking to? And the hardest part of this is, this. This is probably not news. We all have the same fear instinct. And the minute we get in front of someone else, we're immediately going to default to, okay, but this is what I need. And I have to get what I need out of you. Otherwise, I'm in danger. My career's in danger, my house, my kids, like we're going to end up living under a bridge. What do we do? And that's just your brain hijacks it naturally. And the first, just think of what your opening line should be. Like, what am I aligning with them on? How am I going to help them through this conversation? Write that down and open with it. Like I did with the sales thing. Like I think we have a way to help you close these easier because it's going to fly out of your brain. So if you start with it, you're getting the conversation off on the right track.
I love that. Just giving yourself like a one sentence, like, or foundation to build on.
I'm nothing if not a realist.
Yeah, no, 100%. I know that we have some folks in the audience, and I feel like it's such a great opportunity to have like a more intimate conversation. Is this resonating with people? Do you have any questions or examples of what Rachel is describing that you might want to share? Totally okay if not. Yes, please. Cool, if I'm saying that correctly.
Sure, yeah. Thank you very much. Hi, everybody. So lovely to see you all again. So always, Rachel, whatever you shared in that course with me, still I'm using it, all the examples. It totally makes sense. And this conversation, of course, Maria, right? It resonates. Something that it recently came to my thought is that, some of those messages that you get on LinkedIn and all of that. Hey, I see that you are a very successful professional woman. I can help you promoting your job and all of that. It's nice, but it feels fabricated. It feels like not genuine. So how do you suggest, like, if we want to align with that and see that we are bringing you value, how you suggest that we be more genuine in our conversation or not coming off as, fabricated?
I love it. I love that question. And I'm gonna go into coach mode. Why specifically do you not trust when they're saying they can help you? You don't believe them, right? I don't.
I don't know them, right? I don't know their
Right?
work. I
They
don't
don't
know.
know you. You
Yeah.
don't know them. Why
Yeah.
would they know how to help you? They don't
Yeah.
know. You're a, successful professional woman. Gee, that's specific. You clearly know what you're talking about. Like, so what's the antidote to that? Ask questions, listen, find out about them. Because I mean, you could be like, this is how you get promoted. And it's like, I am trying not to get fired right now. I am on a PIP. Do not talk to me about getting promoted. Like, what the hell do I do? You know, so yes, you can have like that posted thing is for people where you already know the deal. If you're dealing with someone new, your goal should be completely different. It should be like, find out what they think will get them promoted. Find out what they think will solve their biggest problem, you know? And you
Yeah.
can't go in and be like, what's your biggest problem? Because it's like, I'm not telling you that. Just, but go in and be curious. And that can be a very hard thing because we're going in and we're trying to get our facts for our checklist so that we can say, I did my job, right? Here, I can prove it. Just coming in and being like, if I had to tell someone who this person is, instead of just like, this is customer A from Acme, you know, let's go in and just try and find out a little bit about, you know, it would be going a little far to be like make a friend because that's a bit much, but just go in and be curious. This is another human who has the ability to tell you what they want, you know, because you're going to be wrong if you guess. So go in, find out what they want. If you need that post-it, right? What do they want? Put it in front of you and just keep redirecting. Stay curious. You're not being weird if you don't have a huge monologue like I constantly do. It's better. People like to talk. They like to talk about themselves and answer questions. If you just go in with a list of questions and, you know, respond to them, that builds more trust. Most salespeople don't go in and try and close the same minute they meet the person, the same call they meet the person. They're going in there to establish a relationship, to establish rapport. You know, we love to call ourselves trusted advisors. It's like, you don't get to call yourself that. Someone else decides that. So show up, be a decent person, ask questions. And most of us know how to do that. We've had it beaten out of us a little bit by the, we are revenue now. It's like, okay, but how do we sell? You sell by being a human, by caring and trying to help someone with their problems. But you can't do that unless you know what they are and if your solution even fits there. Maybe it does, probably it does. You can usually find some way, but until you know what that is, being like, we also have this, do you want it? You know?
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Perfect. So I feel like this is kind of like in line. So in CS, like trust is everything, right? So we've talked about this a little bit, but like, what do you think the biggest psychological factors that help customers truly trust someone? And I would actually extend that also if you'd like to speak to like building trust with executive leadership. I think that that's aligned here too.
Yeah, it's a little different actually, executive leadership. And I wouldn't normally say that about anyone else really. With customers, just, you know, there's something, and yes, this is important with leadership too, but especially with customers, integrity. Do what you say you're going to do. Be dependable, be boringly dependable. You know, I'm going to call you tomorrow, call them tomorrow. Like, I'm going to follow up on this, and this item. Like, you asked me these. Great question. I don't know. I'm going to get back to you. Get back. And be considerate. You know, be considerate about what is easiest for them. Like for customers, for anyone, don't, again, I am long-winded. Do not be like me. White space, as right as tight as you can, right? I do a podcast, I edit out 45 minutes and give you 20. But just write as tight as you can, give it white space, make it easy for them. We all have so much going on. We're all exhausted. So make it easy and do what you say you're going to do and be thinking what's in it for them and, you know, how can this help them? And that will really build trust. They will see you have their best interest in mind and talking to you results in positive things. Executive leadership. It is also the like, what do they care about? Lead with that and then prove it. You know, what a lot of us are scared about, I think, is calling a number because 9 times out of 10, we don't have the accurate information to be able to do that. And we tend to be the type of people who don't want to give you a number if we can't be 105% sure that that is going to be correct. It just, we don't like it. We don't like it. We're not comfortable. It's not who we are. Most people in revenue are guessing. It's a guess. It's a, well, given this, here's what's happened so far. If we just draw a straight line with that's what we're going to go for. That would make sense, right? Humans don't make sense. It's probably not going to turn out that way. But most people in leadership, Colin Powell had a quote about this that blew my mind. He's like, if you want to be a good leader, you have to make an educated guess when you have 40 to 50% of the information. If you wait till you get to 75, you're too late and it's already been made for you. I was like,
I got like my heckles went up. I was like, no.
No, are you crazy? But you got to be willing to take risks. But you also have to remember it's just a bunch of grown-ups in a room trying to figure out what the best action is. No one is expecting you to have a crystal ball. If you're like, here's what's happened so far, here's what we're going to do, here's what we expect to come from that. Does anyone think, anyone have anything to say about that? Anybody have any ideas? If no one's like, this is going to fail for this reason, which they may, and listen, see if they have anything valid. But most of the time, people will just be like, yeah, sounds good, moving on. If something doesn't go the way you expected, that's a data point. You just use it to pivot in the future. It's like, we all agreed that made sense, but didn't know that, Sunday all the electricity was going to go off for a week in the, Eastern Hemisphere. So that changed our projections. So we're taking that as a data point, and we know how to go around it next time. Or even just like we didn't know our competitor was coming out with this thing. So now that we know that, here's how we're pivoting, here's what we're doing, and here's what we expect next. That's all anyone ever needs.
I love that. Honestly, when I take risks, if I do, which is not, I definitely don't prefer to, but sometimes you need to get the big wins. I'm usually communicating internally like that forecast, and I equate it to my first career, which was event planning. Like, you don't know if it's going to rain on their wedding day outside,
Right.
and you've got the tent, right? So the idea is as much as you can predict what influences could change your plan, acknowledge those, communicate those, maybe have a plan for if those things shift, like the rain. But you're never going to know if Uncle Joe is going to like get drunk on the dance floor. So you kind of just have to roll with it, like just
hedge your bets a little bit, aim a little bit lower. They're going to want you to aim higher, aim a little bit lower, you meet in the middle.
And sales is fine with hitting 90% of their forecast. So why are we not fine with that when we have the entire customer base to renew,
just a little more.
And there's literally people involved. And with the amount of shifting that's happening in the industry and people moving roles and layoffs, like, I don't think that anything is based on historical data at this stage. What would you think about that?
It's wild how companies are not good at recognizing that, like, we're trying to ask our customers to renew and expand in the same economy that all of us are dealing with, where everyone's tightening, everyone's freaked out. Like, they're not immune to that economy. They're not like, great, making it rain. We have to be sensitive to that. And we have to pivot our strategy to show, here's why this is the safe bet. Not why, like, here's why this is so cool, but like, here's why this is going to save your butt.
I feel like you just hit on something really big, and it kind of connected for me in my mind. Like, imagine you have a director of marketing, right? They're the ones making this decision. It's honestly like their head for making this purchase decision or this renewal decision. And do they know what's going to be happening in their business in order to support it? They've got their family at home. They've got their own themselves to protect. So I feel like that's also why multi-threading and executive engagement is so important for CS, whether that's at like executive to executive level or, kind of managing those relationships up, because if you just have that one person, they're going to be totally freaked out to make a commitment right now.
So
it's fallen into place for me, Rachel.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I mean, if it's not like what can get you promoted, it's like what can make you like unfireable right now, what can make you too essential.
Yeah, exactly. Like be linchpin to the company's success, right? And always tie yourself to revenue as much as possible.
Yes.
Can't be viewed as a cost center as any decision maker.
That's something that we work on a lot in Customer Success Leadership Academy, is tying things to revenue. Like, how do you do that when it's a productivity tool? How do you do that when it's not, not something like Salesforce? Like, how do you tie it to revenue? And there are so many different ways, like looking at the salaries of the people who use the tool. Are they spending, operating expenses, margins? These are things that people are really scrutinizing now. And it's like, this is going to give you some wiggle room on your margins. I'm betting you could use that, right? Rather than like, this is going to save you 15 minutes per thing. It's like, no, this is going to give you this much wiggle room on your margins.
I love that. We're coming up on time, and I hear you saying like to speak the revenue language of your customer's organization, which I think is really a good takeaway too. You ladies are some of the women that have taught me the revenue language. So it's been really fun to be here. And I would love to just give you a moment to say some closing thoughts that we can leave with, Rachel. And it's been a pleasure.
Oh God, it's been an absolute pleasure for me too. This is always so much fun. And, having worked with Priscilla for forever. It's so exciting to see how she's helping so many people, and just those ripples in a pond of everything she does is so incredible to me. If anybody has questions for me, you can message me on LinkedIn. I am about as threatening as a hamster. I will always be nice to you. So feel free to reach out if anyone has any questions about Customer Success Leadership Academy or needs help finding a new role in CS. That is something that we help with as well. Come say hi. I love my CS people, and it is honestly the joy of my life to be able to help people in this community.